You have one life, don't settle for mediocrity.
Don't settle for mediocrity. And I think the only, people debate intelligence, for example, right? We talk about IQ tests and all that. But I think the only true test of intelligence is if you get what you want out of life. And there are two parts to that. One is getting what you want, so you know how to get it. And the second is wanting the right things, knowing what to want in the first place. I could want to be a 6'8" basketball player, and I'm not going to get that. So it's wanting the wrong thing. So
that's wanting something that you can't get.
That's wanting something you can't get.
There's also wanting something that you don't want.
Yeah, wanting something that's a booby prize. There are plenty of booby prizes out there too, right?
I haven't heard that word in about 20 years.
Yeah, prizes that are just not worth having, or that create their own problems.
Well, if you're not careful, you can end up in a place in life not only that you don't want to be, but one that you didn't even mean to get to.
That's if you're kind of proceeding unconsciously.
But how many people
and usually I think people end up there because they are going on autopilot with sort of societal expectations or other people's expectations. So, or out of guilt or out of mimetic desire. Peter Thiel has this whole thing from René Girard about how mimetic desires are picked up from other people. And some of those are automatically baked into society, like, go to law school, go to med school, go to whatever, go to business school. Or they might be from watching what your friends are doing and, the other monkeys are doing. Or it might just be, what your parents' expectations are. It might be out of guilt. Guilt is just society's voice speaking in your head, socially programmed, so you'll be a good little monkey and do things that are good for the tribe. But I think the best outcomes come when you think it through for yourself and decide for yourself. And I don't think people spend enough time deciding. For example, we run on these 4-year cycles. In Silicon Valley, you go join a startup, you vest your stock over 4 years. That's the standard.
Okay.
In college, you go for 4 years. High school, you go for 4 years. Some things take longer. You have children, they hit puberty 9 years later. That's like a 9-year cycle until that relationship changes. But we're used to these fairly long cycles, multi-year cycles in which we are committed to things. You go to law school, 4 or 5 year cycle. You go be a lawyer, 40-year cycle. These are very long cycles. The amount of time we spend deciding what to do and who to do it with, very short, very, very short, right? We spend, 3 months deciding, 1 month deciding on a job where we're going to be for 10 years or 5 years. And because a lot of discovery is path dependent, where the next thing you find on the path is dependent on where you were on the previous path, you sort of start going down this vector that is a very long distance. People decide frivolously which city to live in, and that's going to decide who their friends are, what their jobs are, their opportunity, their weather, their food supply, their air supply, quality of life. It's such an important decision, but people spend so little time thinking it through. I would argue that if you're making a 4-year decision, spend a year thinking it through.